So the way I want to approach this one, and I think might help when you're doing it, is if we imagine it as an interview. We have the questionnaire reflect on your own practice and competency to incorporate social justice work in a relevant context and setting, to include individual personal development strategy for dealing with social justice issues in a specific target group. That's all well and good as a blah blah blah, but really what we're focusing on is your SJP learning journey so far and how that will continue beyond this course. So let's imagine that I'm going to interview you, and the questions that I ask can form the basis of your assignment. Okay, so we start at the beginning, obviously. And if I were to ask maybe even first impressions, you may have seen the course descriptor when you signed up. Social justice principles was on there. You had an imagination about what that meant or what was involved in that. Maybe you knew, maybe you had covered it before in other contexts. But if you're going to write about the beginning, tap into what did I know before, what were my impressions of social justice principles, and then what happened in the first few classes and how did that have an impact on you. And just kind of flesh that out a little bit. Your first impressions of self, what struck you, what came out, and how maybe that made you think about social justice principles and youth work. So then you're talking about the middle part of a story, and often the middle part is the most significant because it tells us about your learning journey. So you're really telling us about what learning happened, what was memorable. So even now, what sticks in your mind about particular classes, particular topics, things that had an emotional impact on you, things that related to what was going on maybe in your own life or in your community, and really just kind of tap into little snippets or stories about things that had a strong and significant impact on you. When we did the perspective taking tools, for example, and it taught us that you can react to a certain scenario or a certain situation, but when you use the tools, then you're able to take multiple perspectives. So things like that, just flesh that out a good bit in the middle part of this question. So in the final part then, you're given this overall view, and the overall view is really, again, tapping into you as a student. And the impact that this has had on you as a student, how you see the significance of this as a module within a youth and community studies course. And you can really then, once you've covered that part, then say whether it does and whether it has had an impact on you as a person. Because both of those combine to decide and influence the type of youth worker that you will become. And then the very final part of this whole assignment is about the what next. And that's about saying and wondering and exploring where does your learning go after this? And that's really interesting because it's kind of saying where does it go in terms of the next course that you're going to do? Where does it go in terms of your current youth work practice, or you as a youth leader? And where does it go within your life? And it's really just saying that what happened during the module goes beyond the module. And if we can do that, then that really shows that this course has had an impact. I hope that makes sense. So listen, I know you'll get there. And give me a shout if you need anything.